The screencast for chapter 3 homework. There wasn't much homework with chapter 3, partly because it should be a lot of review, and it's just getting to know the unit vector notation. So I don't think that's going to be that difficult for you. Remember, basically, I hat is 1 in the positive x direction, j hat is 1 in the positive y direction, k hat is 1 in the positive z direction, which is usually out toward you. So these 4 problems are pretty straightforward. It asks you to draw the vector, asks you to go ahead and solve the magnitude and direction of things. So for this one, vector A was 4i hat minus 6j hat. So I've drawn it here going 4 to the right, 6 down. The magnitude was 7.2 using Pythagorean theorem. I used inverse tangent, had my calculator in degree mode. 6 over 4 gave me 56 degrees. So that's 56 degrees below the positive x-axis and a magnitude of 7.2. The second one here, very similar. This time it had units. It was on the outside of the unit vectors, if you notice. So 50 squared plus 80 squared, 94.3. I should have rounded that to 94. 2 sig figs, but not a big deal. And again, inverse tangent of 80 over 50. 58 degrees, so 94 meters at 58 degrees above the positive x-axis. C and D somewhat similar. I don't know why I did all these relative to the x-axis, but you don't have to do that. I just did what was most understandable to me for the inverse tangent. For number 13, you had A is 4i hat minus 2j hat, B is negative 3i hat plus 5j hat. Your goal is to find C. Well, in terms of unit vector notation, again, you group the horizontal and vertical axes. So I get I hat plus 3j hat would equal the final. So the magnitude was about 3.2. The angle is about 18 degrees. So I drew, this was A, this was B, and this was C. C ended up going up 3 and to the right 1. 23 and 29. 23 basically told you what vector A was, you didn't know what vector B was, and you knew what vector C was. So you knew that all 3 of them added together gave you 1 j hat, which is plus 1 in the y direction. So essentially you have the things you know, 4 plus 0 in the x direction plus bx. That actually is going to equal 0. In the y direction you have 0, and in the j hat direction 0, minus 2 plus by, and that has to equal plus j hat, plus 1 j hat. So that's how we figured out that for vector B, you have negative 4i hat plus 3j hat. I drew that here. There's the magnitude. There's the angle. This time I said it was above the y-axis based on how I drew it. 29 is kind of like the example I did in class. I think it was on Thursday with some sort of rodent. It was like going east, then southeast, then dropped in a hole in the ground. So we use what I called the Pythagorean theorem, but it's not really that. But anyhow, first part was asking to figure out the net vertical displacement. That's pretty easy. You only group the vectors in the altitude direction. So that was negative 100 meters. Then you want to find the overall resultant of how far you hiked. So you went a net distance or displacement of 500 meters to the east, 5,000 meters north, and then 100 meters down in elevation. So that's 500 I hat plus 5,000 j hat minus 100 k hat. And then you did that weird Pythagorean theorem there. Comes out to 5,030 meters, but with 2 sig figs, and actually these are either 1 or 2 sig figs, which is kind of annoying. It rounds to 5,000 meters as your net distance hiking, or displacement rather. So hopefully those help. Again, I don't think you should have had too much of a tough time with that.